Thank you, Mr. Ridewood. It is now my honor to introduce our student speaker for the 2014 commencement exercises. The student speaker is chosen by the faculty, so this is also quite an honor. Our student speaker this evening, Ms. Berkeley Brown, has distinguished herself in the classroom, on the track, on the tennis court, in the halls of student government, and most importantly, as a servant leader. She has served very ably this year as our senior class president, always positive, always respectful, and always kind. She's a great example of the kind of graduate that TMI is known for. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our student speaker for this year's commencement, Ms. Berkeley Brown.
Seniors, faculty, parents, and family members, we made it. We had doubts, for sure, as to whether this day would ever come. It loomed on the horizon beyond a sea of late-night study sessions, early morning sports practices, countless essays, recitations, and problem sets, and waves of SAT prep and college visits. But we have swum tirelessly through it all. It has been a long road, one with many obstacles, one that could not have been traveled without the teachers and parents pushing us along the way. I think I can safely say that with their help, we have finally arrived at our destination. We are not an easy bunch to put up with, dear class of 2014. Let's face it, we're complainers. We're whiners. We are questioners of truths. From our first days on this campus, we inundated our teachers with suggestions as to what assignments they should dole out. We have attempted to negotiate our way from C's to B's, from B's to A's, from A's to A pluses. We have demanded independent studies when we weren't satisfied. We have questioned our administration on every matter we have held dear. As someone who has cried and whined and argued every step of the way, I can attest to the fact that the class of 2014 sees everything as subject to change. As the founder of the Coca-Cola Company, Robert Woodruff, said, "The future belongs to the discontented." Clearly, he was talking about us. As a group, we have already reached remarkable heights. In these 4 years, the class of 2014 has produced a National Merit Finalist, a state champion swimmer, a Christian Athlete of the Year, a Poetry Out Loud finalist, an appointee to the Air Force Academy, a Latin genius, a state champion runner, and 2 appointees to the United States Military Academy at West Point. We also boast 5 solo pilots, a state champion golfer, a robotic engineer, as well as award-winning mathematicians, actors, singers, stock traders, and biologists. And this is not an exhaustive list. I have no doubt that the same pursuit of excellence that compelled us to question our grades, the same intensity that induced us to find our teachers after school if we were confused or having trouble, and the same spirit that rallied us to win this year's homecoming games shaped every fiber of this class of doers. As a group, we were driven. We worked out a little longer after practice, wrote a few more pages of that essay, perfected our recitations just a bit more, and stayed up a little later to finish that problem set. We were, and are, goal setters and high achievers. Propelled by an inner passion, we ran for leadership positions, aspired to be sports team captains, sought lead roles in plays, orated in chapel, and dreamed of being Eagle Scouts. As a class, we dared believe that we can do anything, that we can inspire change, that we have the strength to go the extra mile or miles. Over these 4 years, I have seen the members of this class face every challenge presented to them with strength and intensity, with conviction and integrity. Let me just say, dear class of 2014, The future, indeed, belongs to us. But that future will not be acquired entirely by our own doing. Do you think just any old group of teachers and faculty members would have put up with our complaining and whining spirit? I don't know if I will ever find another community like this, where my teachers are so willing to argue with me, to allow me to explore the inner reaches of my mind and discover new truths. Here at TMI, we were blessed with teachers who created classroom environments that are open to suggestion, to free inquiry, to questions without filters. At TMI, our teachers never cease to believe in our abilities and potential, not just as leaders and intellects, but as people. A couple weeks ago, Mrs. Stanley reminded me, sagely as ever, to keep my head down, my eyes on the stars, and my heart true to my morals. Then, she said, "You will break the glass ceiling." And she was not just talking to me. She was talking to the 74 members of my class whose achievements are numbered among the hundreds, whose personalities are models of honor and humility, who are flinging themselves next year across all reaches of the country and the globe to find that glass ceiling and to smash right through it. To Mrs. Stanley, I say, we members of the class of 2014 will not let you down. So let us say thanks to TMI for fostering a group of teachers who have genuinely wanted to see us succeed. More often than not, they have stayed late after school to talk to us about life and lessons learned. They inspired discipline and self-motivation, but never failed to make sure we didn't get lost along the way. I want to thank especially our faculty speaker today, Mr. Matt Ridewood, who sums up the spirit of the faculty of TMI. He truly does care about his students. He has opened his classroom to the gift of free inquiry and argument, and he's facilitated questions and instilled in us a new curiosity about the world in which we live, about the society into which we will soon enter, as intelligent, independent thinkers. He is just one of many teachers at TMI who have been crucial to my development as an independent learner and a person. I was probably supposed to start my speech today by addressing the esteemed faculty at this institution, or something like that. But though I have the utmost respect for those that have peopled my educational career here at TMI, esteemed implies a degree of formality that is incongruous with the bond I have developed with the adults in this community. Teachers and faculty, I think I speak for all of my classmates when I say that you have been my mentors, my lifelines, the keystones to my intellectual development. But most of all, you have been my friends. Please join me in celebrating these special and highly esteemed individuals with a round of applause. Let us also thank the parents and caretakers who ceaselessly and relentlessly carried us, who transported us every day from all corners of the city to bring us through that TMI gate a few minutes before 8 or a few minutes after. They saw us through those late nights when we thought we couldn't possibly cram any more information into our heads. They supported us in our high points and pushed us in our lows. They saw us through many a meltdown, many an I give up, many in a few I don't even know where to begin. Before I continue, I want us to pay special tribute to our families, our ultimate support and foundation, who not only endured that speed bump at the entrance to TMI, but every speed bump along the way. Let's give them a round of applause. On a more personal note, I want to thank especially my parents, who have instilled in me a love of exploring and embracing new experiences and new places. When I was 5 and we first moved to Massachusetts, we would be riding in the car with no real destination, and I would look up from whatever I was doing and have no grasp of where I was or how we arrived there. Like many of us, I didn't like the unknown, or feeling lost, or having no control over my surroundings. Unsettled, I would ask my mom, "Where are we? And what are we doing?" To which she would respond, "We are on an adventure." All of a sudden, the unknown was no longer something scary or infuriating. Instead, I learned to expect the exciting and intrepid around every corner. Sometimes, on these spontaneous road trips, we would end up at Louisa May Alcott's house or near Walden Pond. And sometimes, we would get lost and would simply have to go back the way we came. But what my parents taught me on those car rides was to never be afraid of the unknown, to never deny a road or path just because it was not clear where it would lead. In closing, I want to challenge each of you, my friends and classmates, to plunge headlong onto the paths ahead of us. We members of the class of 2014 are intense, we are curious, and we see everything as subject to change. But let us not be held back by our own visions. Let us follow our convictions, follow our passions, but never be afraid of being lost or of losing control, because more often than not, that unmarked road will lead to something truly remarkable. A couple months ago, at a tennis tournament, my freshman friend Darby asked me, "So, what do you want to be?" After so many months of adults pelting me with questions about my major and the job opportunities associated with it, I was struck by the simplicity of this question, as well as by its profundity. I realized that the spiel I had been rattling off to everyone, from college admissions interviewers to friends and teachers, sounded ridiculous. All I could muster up was, "I don't know." But today, as we stand on the cusp of new opportunities, as we look back at the accomplishments of the class and the challenges presented us by our teachers, as we stand here in caps and gowns, ready to embrace new lives, new beginnings, and, I hope, plenty of unmarked roads, I say to Darby, to you all, we want to be great. We want to inspire change. We want to break the glass ceiling. We want to always be discontented. We are the class of 2014, and the future belongs to us.